Anton Szandor LaVey was a figure carved from the shadows of American carnival culture, a former circus organist, police photographer, and occult enthusiast. He was a keen observer of human nature's underbelly, a showman who understood that the greatest power often lies in embracing the role others fear. In 1966, on Walpurgisnacht, he shaved his head, declared the founding of the Church of Satan, and 3 years later codified its philosophy in a stark black volume titled The Satanic Bible. This was not a tome of ancient spells to summon a horned beast, but a deliberate, shocking, and ruthlessly logical manifesto for a new kind of rebellion, a religion with the self as its own god. The core revelation of LaVey's work is its foundational atheism. Satan, for LaVey, is not a literal being residing in a pit of fire. He is the ultimate symbol, a potent archetype representing the eternal adversary to spiritual tyranny. He represents the carnal, the earthly, the here and now. He is the rebel angel who questions, the natural force that rejects unjust authority, the embodiment of pride, liberty, and enlightenment. To worship Satan in this context is to worship the human being who stands upright, who indulges in the vital instincts of life without shame, and who rejects the spiritual poison of deferred gratification promised by what LaVey called the God of the land of the dead. Let us dismantle the central myths it attacks. LaVey saw mainstream religions, particularly Christianity, as life-denying systems built on what he termed psychic vampires. They thrive, he argued, by infecting humanity with guilt for its most natural states, for its sexuality, its ambition, its intelligence, its justified anger. They promote a morality of the weak, turning the other cheek, loving one's enemy, valuing pity over strength. The Satanic Bible systematically inverts these values. It does not preach evil in the cartoonish sense of mustache-twirling cruelty. It preaches a radical, rational self-interest. This is crystallized in the Nine Satanic Statements. They are the declaration of independence for the satanic self. Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. Satan represents vited existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams. Satan represents kindness to those who deserve it, instead of love wasted on ingrates. Each statement is a deliberate inversion, a recalibration of morality to serve the individual's life on earth. The pinnacle is the first and greatest satanic sin, stupidity. For in a philosophy built on personal power and keen perception, the fog of ignorance is the ultimate damnation. From this philosophy springs a new ethical code, the 11 Satanic Rules of the Earth. These are not commandments from on high, but pragmatic guidelines for navigating a world filled with other humans. They read like the rules of a predatory jungle, tempered by a cynical wisdom. Do not give opinions or advice unless you are asked. Do not tell your troubles to others unless you are sure they want to hear them. When in another's lair, show him respect, or else do not go there. And, most famously, the succinct core of satanic justice. If a man smite you on one cheek, smash him on the other. This is the law of reciprocity, of balanced retribution, rejecting unconditional forgiveness. But philosophy without practice is empty. The book introduces the concept of lesser and greater magic. Lesser magic is the art of manipulation, of psychology and theater, using one's presence, words, and environment to achieve desired ends. It is the weapon of the individual in daily life. Greater magic, what others might call ritual, is something far more profound than worship. LaVey defines it as intellectual decompression, or psychodrama. In a ritual chamber, the Satanist stages a dramatic performance, using all symbolic tools, incense, robes, chanting, the iconic Baphomet, to focus their will and emotion on a specific goal. The power does not come from a demon answering a plea. It comes from the practitioner's own psyche, unleashing a concentrated blast of desire into the universe, and more importantly, programming their own subconscious to attain it. The ritual is a tool of self-directed change, a theatrical catalyst for the will. Perhaps the most controversial and misunderstood section is the book's final part, which includes invocations and names often borrowed from ancient demonologies. This is not a literal call to entities. It is, as LaVey insists, the use of historically charged words of power. These names like Satan, Leviathan, Belial are batteries of conceptual energy. To invoke them is to tap into the accumulated cultural and emotional resonance of rebellion, destruction, and carnal desire that these names embody. It is a psychological tool, using the most potent symbols of transgression to shatter the internalized restraints of a lifetime. So what is the ultimate message of the Satanic Bible? It is a call to shed the skin of a slave morality. It is a manifesto for the sovereign individual. It argues that heaven and hell are states we create right here, in our minds and in our lives. Hell is the life of the person crushed by guilt, living for an empty promise, wasting their vital energies on pity for those who do not deserve it. Heaven is the life of the person who takes responsibility for their desires, who harnesses their intellect and passion, who walks through the world with pride, who treats others according to their actions, and who finds beauty and meaning in the tangible, bloody, glorious fact of their own existence. It does not advocate harming the innocent. That would be a waste of energy and a violation of self-interest. But it does advocate destroying the enemies who would seek to enslave your mind. And it champions vengeance not as a sin, but as a natural, human, and often necessary act. It is a religion not for the monstrous, but for the realist, not for the wicked, but for the willful. In the end, LaVey's Satanist stands alone, under no God's eye, accountable only to themselves and the consequences of their actions. They see the universe as fundamentally indifferent, a place of dark, beautiful, and savage forces. And rather than kneel and pray for salvation from this reality, the Satanist chooses to stand up, understand these forces, and wield them. The closing sentiment is not one of hate, but defiant, carnal celebration. The only redemption is the one you forge yourself. The only paradise is the one you build here, now. The only God you will ever truly know stares back at you from the mirror. Hail that self! Hail, Satan!